few days ago I went to my local library's used book sale and I came home with so many great finds. I am very excited to read all of these and I wanted to make a video to go ahead and chat with you guys about what I found. I love used books. I just love thinking about their backstories. Maybe someone got this book as a gift and it's just so fun to collect different books that have different backgrounds that aren't brand new because they're more beautiful that way. At least I think so. Hello, my name is Megan, and something to know about me is I love reading, so thank you for joining me today to talk about books. I obviously won't have too much to say about any of these books that I'm going to show you because I haven't read any of them yet, but I am excited to show you what I found. Before we continue, let me pause to remind you to like this video now or at the end if you like seeing book hauls like this, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel to help me out. Thank you. I appreciate your support. I'm drinking pomegranate green tea and it's really good. So I got Pale Fire by Nabokov. I've never read any Nabokov before, and so I'm excited. I was very confused when I first started looking at this book because apparently it's a poem written in heroic couplets that is 999 lines, but it's written by John Shade is the imaginary poet who wrote the poem in this book, and there's also a foreword and then a commentary from what I understand so far at the beginning and end of the poem, written by another fictional character who knew the fictional poet who wrote the poem in here. Anyways, I was confused, but it sounds really interesting and I'm excited to read this. It's like it says it's a cornucopia of deceptive pleasures. I got Cat on a Hot Tin Roof by Tennessee Williams. This is a play, and it was, I think, first performed in the 1950s. It's a movie with Elizabeth Taylor, if you've seen that. It's a really good movie. I've seen it, but I haven't read the play. So I'm really excited to read this. Brick, the alcoholic son, is tortured by the death of his best friend and his guilt about the relationship. Maggie, his wife, is tormented by her longing for the husband she cannot possess and her craving for security. Big Daddy, his father, unaware that he is dying of cancer, exults in his lust for life. Gathered together for a celebration of Big Daddy's 65th birthday, the family's conflicts are suddenly relentlessly exposed in an explosive series of climaxes that forces each of them to part with the half-lies that have shielded them from reality. Isn't this a really cool edition too? I don't know, I just love cheap paperback editions like this. So cool. I got the Dialogues of Plato, so written by Plato. The first four dialogues in this are about the execution of Socrates, and then there are other dialogues that have more to do with life in Athens in the 2nd century, or the 4th century. Yeah, the Dialogues of Plato. A classic, a good thing to have on hand. Oh, so I got the short stories of Ernest Hemingway. This is the first 49 stories. And so it's really cool because they go in chronological order of how Hemingway wrote them. I think it says his first short story was at the age of 22, and then we get to see him gradually progress as a writer as he goes on in his short story journey, and I think that's really cool. I'm excited to read them. I think I've only read like 1 or 2 Hemingway short stories, and I loved The Sun Also Rises. I read that a couple years ago, and I really enjoyed The Old Man and the Sea. I also picked up Goethe's Faust. Goethe was a German poet. He is regarded as probably the best German poet, and Faust is his most well-known work. So, side note, for my graduate school audition into the music program at the school I went to, I played Mephisto's Waltz, and it is Mephistopheles is a character from Faust, and The story behind the piece by Liszt that I played on piano is that Mephisto is the devil, and Faust makes a deal with the devil, sells his soul to win the love of a woman. And it's a really cool piece. If you haven't heard Mephisto's Waltz by Franz Liszt, you should listen to it. And maybe you should read Faust by Goethe too, if you want to. I picked up The Maltese Falcon, another really cool paperback edition by Dashiell Hammett. This is a crime noir book written in, I think, the 50s, but it is a classic in suspense literature and American writing. And other than that, I don't know too much about it. I got the collected lyrics of Edna St. Vincent Millay. She's a poet who I really love, and I'm really excited to have like a physical copy of her work. I already talked about Cat on a Hot Tin Roof by Tennessee Williams. I also got 8 Mortal Ladies Possessed by Tennessee Williams, and this isn't a play. This is a collection of short stories, I believe. I got The Prince by Machiavelli. This is kind of the only one of these books that I've read before because I listened to the audiobook of The Prince. Machiavelli is like a literary archetype that we have today because of this book. A Machiavellian character is someone who will go to any means necessary to achieve the desired end result. I just thought this would be cool to have. So I don't think I'm going to read it again anytime soon, but I love Joan Didion, and I did not have the White Album. I haven't read it, so I found this one for like $3. This was one of the more expensive books in my haul. This one is about the aftermath of the 1960s, and it talks about key figures like Charles Manson, the Black Panthers, and the shopping mall. Joan Didion helped to define mass culture as we now understand it. I got Brideshead Revisited by Evelyn Waugh. I'm a little bit sad because I kind of accidentally destroyed this book a little bit right there. I was trying to get the library stickers off. Actually, I destroyed it a lot. It looks pretty bad. Oh no, it's a little bit ripped off, so let me try to read the rip. I don't know what that used to say. A novel that immerses us in the glittering and seductive world of the English aristocracy in the waning days of the empire. I got Agnes Grey by Anne Bronte. And Anne Bronte, I think this is semi-autobiographical. It talks about the job of a governess that young and single and educated women from this time period were kind of they weren't left with any other options really except to be a governess, and so Anne Bronte talks about that problem. I got Save Me the Waltz by Zelda Fitzgerald. So I just happened to see this one. I haven't heard too much about it. I knew that she wrote a single book, but yeah, I don't think I've ever actually seen a copy of this one, so it was really cool that I just happened to see it. Zelda Fitzgerald was F. Scott Fitzgerald's wife, and she was an early flapper, and she and her husband kind of set a lot of the trends of the Roaring 20s into motion. They spent their time between Paris and the US. She's from Alabama. F. Scott Fitzgerald spent 5 years writing his novel Tender as the Night, I think is the one that he worked that long on. It could have been This Side of Paradise, one of those. He spent 5 years, and she decided to kind of show what she could do by writing her novel in about a couple months, I believe. It caused tension between them. Zelda Fitzgerald ended up developing schizophrenia, and she spent the rest of her life in an insane asylum and actually ended up dying in a hospital fire, which is really sad. I got Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, another play. This one is by Edward Albee, and this is another movie that has Elizabeth Taylor in it, which I've seen. but I'm really excited to read the text of this play. I think it's going to be really good. I just have high expectations for this, I guess based on the movie. I think this was one of the most successful plays in the 1960s. So I'm really excited to read this one. And also another cool paperback edition. Those are all of the books that I picked up from that book sale that I went to. So let me know if you have read any of the titles that I mentioned and if you love them or if you hated them for that matter in the comments below. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about books. Bye!